Hello and welcome back again. I have a rule, and that's a 95% rule. And once again, thank you for joining me, and I don't want you to copy what I'm sharing with you. I want you to find what percentage rule works for you. What do I mean? Well, this percentage rule is quite simple. It's 95-5%. That means 95% of the time, that's a rough gauge, I know where the foods come from, I prepare it myself, I obviously consume it for myself, my wife, and it's organic and locally grown. 5% of the time, what I choose to do, notice I said choose to, that means I am conscious of the fact that I may consume something which, well, I am certainly more alive than that which I'm about to eat. In other words, it's a little bit more dead or denatured, but I love the taste of it. And so I'm making a conscious decision to maybe consume something like Green and Black's 85%, that's the only chocolate that I'll eat. Or it may be that sometimes when I'm out, that my wife and I might have a herbal tea, and I may then choose to have some flapjack. And I'll ask for extra butter and I'll stick loads of butter on it, and the butter probably isn't organic, and there'll be loads of Class A drug sugar in the snack. Now, interestingly enough, I found this out recently, that if you decide to go, say, cold turkey, totally off sugar, it could take up to 5 years to stop the cravings. Wow, that's impressive, 5 years. And people aren't even aware, they think they've broken the habit and they haven't. But you know, I'm aware of that, but the point is, that's my ratio. Now here's what I find interesting. We all have our own core values, our own beliefs and values of what's important. Our beliefs are what's important and our values on life. And we may not be aware of them, but we have them. And we create them from a base which is called non-disturbance. In other words, we don't want to be disturbed, but then we get programmed by our parents, our teachers and all the rest of it, you know, just like your iPod. And then when you feel somebody makes a noise, you press play and then you get disturbed and you don't like that, and so then you form a judgment, and then judgments stem from that because you've been disturbed. Remember, that's what we're here for really, is just to create a life of non-disturbance. Does that serve us? Does it serve me to have a 95-5% rule? Well, obviously when I went on holiday to Scarborough, no it didn't. In fact, to some extent I was causing myself stress because of it. You know, realising that I couldn't control, except obviously I can control what I'm putting in my mouth, but the point is that I think, well, I've paid for this, so therefore I'm going to eat it, and blah blah blah. However, it's just being aware that whatever your core values are, what you will and will not stand for, that's what your core values are. And that can be to do with from when you get out of bed, work with clients, what your work is, the environment and all the rest of it. If you are going against your core values, and I'm just focusing on one core value, which is, you know, to do with the percentage of foods versus products, or foods versus denatured, dead, dysfunctional stuff that you consume, you need to find out what works for you. Now, what I found is that once you increase your knowledge, then as well as there coming a greater sense of responsibility, you are able to respond differently. The chances are your percentage is likely to change. When you realise that every single cell in your body, and there's between 50 and 100 trillion, you've got between 23 and 25,000 genes, and every single one of them will be affected by what you put in here. I mean, think about it. Nobody would put diesel in a petrol engine. But if they did, what would happen? The car would eventually break down. And yet, because of our default world, it's just outside, I've co-created it just like you, and when you go into any superstore, 90% of what they sell is denatured, dead, dysfunctional. I know it can taste nice, and I know you get addicted to it, but think about it. When you first took a puff of smoke from a cigarette or a cigar, or you drank some neat spirit, you didn't go, by Jove, that was good. You coughed, you spluttered, and your brain said, what are you doing? But you overcame that and eventually saw, because everyone else is doing it, it must be okay. Stupid, in my opinion. The same goes with our foods, but our corporations are putting their products out, slamming them in front of your face that you know no different, and of course unconsciously you then buy it, you give it to your child, you wonder why your child becomes a type 1 or type 2 diabetic and becomes sick all the time, then it just becomes normal. I think I'm going off tangent here when I started off talking about 95-5% rule, but hopefully you can hear, feel and sense where I'm coming from here. I want you to take control of yourself and become that change you want to see in the world. And the only way I know how you're going to do that is by becoming conscious, by becoming aware to what your core values are, what you will and will not stand for. Whether it's to do, like I said, your working environment, the organic foods that you eat, how long you work, when you have a break, etc, etc, etc. It's not right, it's not wrong. Does it serve you? Does it serve those around you? Because you are a teacher, believe it or not. So that's what I wanted to share with you, is for you to create or find, and most people go with an 80-20 rule. Does that rule work for you? If it doesn't, and you're going against your core values, that's going to bring stress to you. Remember, once you start stressing the body, it's going to ask for more macro and micronutrients. If you don't give that to your body, then you're going to suffer from deficiency. And if you have a deficiency, that can then lead to a disease. And then you can stick in the toxins and they'll just make it worse. Now, I did a YouTube on cells and cancer and all the rest of it, just so you have a greater understanding about how the body works. Simply. So that's the invite. Find what percentage works for you. Because if you go against it, I'll guarantee you it will bring stress to you. And you might not even be aware of it. But once you're aware of it, once you're conscious, you can make smarter choices. And my invite always is to consume those foods that have been on this planet for hundreds of thousands, millions of years, and find if they work for you. Like I say, if you are more alive than that which you're about to consume, you've got a better, smarter choice to make. Over to you. Mine's a 95% rule. What's your percentage? Find out. It's a journey, as always, and it may change. My love to you all. Have a fantastic day. Bye for now.